Going to move on to you telling us how you were able to pull off a successful bellanaija wedding. The talk of the town, the talk of Nigeria, the talk of Abuja, the talk of Delta State. As an international student,
well,
because I know that is one question that most internationals are like, can I get married as an international student? Not just get married. I mean, if you find love in the United States of America with someone in the United States of America, then it's a lot easier. But if you find love or your love interest is in your home country or any other country, will that relationship even work? Okay, I had a relationship back in Nigeria before coming. Will my study abroad journey hinder my relationship? You are a clear example that it is possible for you to have a long distance relationship and still, excel, succeed, and even walk down the lane. Girl, tell us the gist.
So basically, let me start by saying that I'm not an advocate for long distance relationships. I am not, because it takes a lot for you to work. So I'm not going to tell anybody, because my own works, your own is going to work. No, I'm not an advocate for it at all. So if you're coming from Nigeria and you have a relationship there, you have to be sure. It's not just you. Both of you have to be sure what you really want. So for me, when I was leaving Nigeria, of course I had a relationship now, and I was like, I wouldn't even say I had a relationship. We were just still talking, because in my mind I'm just like, I'm leaving the country, so guy, please, I'm coming here to find papers. Don't be here dragging me with all this Nigerian talk. Do you get? So in my mind, I was just like, this talk, by the time I get here, it will die a natural death, because before you know it, time difference will be a problem.
Yeah.
So we'll be struggling with getting along, talking on the phone and all of that. Before you know it, we're done. So that's the kind of mindset I came here with, if I have to be honest. But no, my guy, like my husband, he did not. It's as if when I came, he put the thing on level 2. Like what? He will stay awake till like 2 a.m. He has to be sure that I'm done from school or I'm done from classes. He will stay, talk to me before he goes to bed. Do you get? And as I'm waking up in the morning, I'm waking up with a text message. So the conversation was not going down. Instead, it was going like this. I was like, what is going on here? Is it that this one does not want me to get papers? Like, I'm not getting this. I'm not understanding. So I was just like, so I just kept on watching how things were going for months. And I saw that if somebody like this, if he can actually take out his time to do this and, be consistent, I won't say that a day went by and we did not talk. In fact, we talk like 3-4 times a day or even more sometimes. You get? Sometimes the conversation is not even long. It can just be, babe, I'm just calling to check on you, because he doesn't even have time. He's working and maybe at that time I'm busy too, or you get? But the fact that his thoughts were always, I said, no, this thing is serious. So I started taking him more seriously. And then we kind of made it like a norm to see each other every 3 to 4 months. We didn't want to also be apart from that. That's when I started taking him, from the point when I started taking him seriously, we started making it a norm to see each other like every 3 to 4 months. So that's how one time we planned a trip to Abu Dhabi. See me, and I packed my bags. I said, let me go and have fun, I got there and I came back with a ring. I was like, what's going on here, uncle? Why are you proposing? I came here to have fun. I didn't come, what's this proposal all about? I couldn't even when I came back, I couldn't even tell my friends that I was engaged and stuff, because I didn't even always talk about my relationship with them. And the only reason why I didn't always talk about my relationship with them was because they wouldn't be able to understand why I'm in a long distance relationship. Most times when you tell someone who's not in a long distance relationship about your relationship, let me tell you the first question they will ask you: are you sure he's not cheating? How are you able to cope? What about me? What if I'm cheating? After all, me too, I'm here too now. He's there. So at the end of the day, I didn't like talking to people about my relationship. I just kept it to myself. I only talk to people that I know that they were also in long distance relationships like me. So those are people I understand they will relate when I'm talking to them. So those are the only people I talk to. So I didn't really tell anybody I was engaged when I came back and all. Just started moving. So 2019 went well and all. Started wedding plans. So by the time we started wedding plans, I just told my roommates and I think a few other people that I was getting married on. I was like, you should just keep it to yourself, Sha. So 2020 came, wedding plans started. Of course, I was juggling wedding plans with working, with schooling, with time difference. I couldn't handle it on my own. So I had to get like a wedding planner. That was like the right thing to do. And then I had my cousins and my sister also like oversee what the wedding planner was doing. So wedding plans were going well. We had all our vendors, everybody like on check because we planned to get married in June last year. So before we knew what was happening now, March came, we started hearing COVID. I'm like, what was this one again? Like, I didn't even make anything of COVID at that point. I was just like, oh, okay, it's just a virus and it will go away. You need to come and go now. So I didn't think about how it will affect my wedding or my life in any way. So I remember that we had finished our midterms. I went to Maryland. But in fact, it was while on my way to Maryland that I realized that this COVID is really serious. The airport was empty. It was empty. In fact, people were asking me, why are you traveling? Like, you know that everybody's supposed to be at home. I was like, I didn't realize it was this serious. So I went to Maryland, stayed with my auntie for a few weeks. Before I knew what was happening, while I was on that trip, I started hearing that the Nigerian airport is about to shut down. I said, what is going on here? But then in my mind, I'm just like, they will shut down now. They will open within a month or two. So definitely my wedding. I was still even planning the wedding. I was still shopping for my bridesmaids, looking for what they will wear and all. Then after by April, I'm like, this whole thing is not even, like the cases were rising. I'm like, how is this wedding going to work? But I didn't want to really bother myself with that. So we still continued the wedding plans, but this time around we're just trying to see how things will now go. But by the time my friends started calling me from left, right, and center, home, abroad, Nigeria, Canada, asking me the pressing questions like, are you sure you'll still get married? Are you sure you will not postpone this wedding? Are you sure this? Are you sure that? I think that's when the thing that really hits me that, okay, this wedding plan is like, we're going to really shift it to till next year. But that wasn't even my problem. My problem was that, you know how me and my fiance at the time, we're always seeing each other every 3-4 months. It was now like, when next are we going to see? That I will not see for the next 1 year or something. So all those kind of things started bothering me. Like, I was just like, I was even almost depressed. And of course, I was taking classes at the same time. So I was just trying to pay attention to my classes and not let all that, get me depressed and all. But anyways, to cut the long story short, fast forward to I think sometime in June, I now heard that they were doing an evacuation, Nigeria organized this evacuation flights for people in the US back to Nigeria. So at that point, I told my parents, I was like, I think I'm just going to. They were now like, no, why are you coming back to Nigeria? It's not like you're going to get married again this year. I said, I was not even listening to them. At that point, I was only saying two things, Nigeria and my fiancé. So whatever my parents were telling me, I was not even listening. But I was like, oh, but there's no need, why do you want to endanger your life? You want to get on a flight in this COVID season. Blah, 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 blah. I was not even hearing him. Of course, my dad was not going to sponsor the trip. So me, all the money I've been making, I just used it to buy tickets. Went to Nigeria. Yes. I'm telling you, find my way back to Nigeria. When I came back home, because I landed in Lagos, my fiance lives in Abuja. I landed in Lagos. My dad was like, you're not coming to this house, right? You're going straight to the hotel to stay.
I like your father.
I was like, no problem. As far as I'm in Nigeria, no problem. But later, they now gave me a room in the house, set it up for me. I was like, I should just stay there. So I stayed there for the whole isolation thing until it was done. And I did another COVID test. Then it was negative again. Oh yeah, before I got on that evacuation flight, I did a COVID test. Then did another one when I got to Nigeria. Immediately I just got my result and I was negative. I didn't even complete my quarantine. I was out. I went straight to Abuja. As soon as the results came, I showed my husband. I was like, see. He was like, yeah, start coming. So I got to Abuja. So at that point, when I went to Nigeria, I didn't even go to Nigeria with the mindset of having a wedding. I just went because I just wanted to go chicken. So I think Nigeria was already on their, third phase or fourth phase? I don't know how they were doing that. They are reopening again. But at that point, I think you were allowed to now do weddings, but with limited capacity of 50 people. So my husband was now like, maybe should we just do this wedding? Just go ahead and do a small wedding. I was like, but we've already paid for all of how many thousand people? We paid for this, we've done this. I was like, don't worry, we'll just get our money back gradually. That was the story for another people. Up to now, I was trying to get our money from the vendors. So he was like, anyways, let's just go ahead and do this wedding, do a small wedding and all. So me, I was kind of reluctant. I didn't want to. I was like, let's just leave it till next year. But he was like, no, let's just do it now. I called my parents. I said, it's like, we're going to go ahead and do this wedding. My dad said, for what? No. How will I invite this chief? How will I invite my father said, no, that there's no need. Said, let's do it next year. Instead of doing a small wedding this year, we'll do it next year because I'm the first child. So they really wanted to shut down Nigeria.
I didn't know you were the first child.
Yeah, I'm the first. But just to me and my sister,
Wow.
My dad was like, no, we have to shut down. How can his first child's wedding just be one door wedding like that? So eventually he agreed. He was like, you know what, it's what the couple want. And it's like right now, we don't even know how the next year will be, which is 2021 now. There might still be COVID and all. So we ended up doing the wedding. So I literally had like 3 weeks to plan my wedding. No wedding dress, no clothes, no nothing. I'm telling you. So maybe they approved. I went back to Lagos, started, doing market shopping. I was going to the market every day. And in addition to this, I was writing exams. I had assignments. I had tests.
And there's time difference.
So I was always, if after my day activity, I will now sit down and be doing exam so that I can, meet up with the time. And most times I'll be awake till like 5 a.m. to submit because the assignments are due 12 midnight.
Yeah.
And due 6 a.m. in Nigeria. So I have to stay awake. So I was stressed there. But I'm just glad that I was able to pull everything off at the end of the day. The wedding went well. We did a very small, I won't say my child was small because we planned a small wedding, but
found out.
Got shut down in that village. My father was so scared that NCDC will come and shut down his house for him. So then we did a white wedding, but we didn't have a reception anymore. We just shared food for people after like the church wedding. After the church blessing, we shared food for people that came to the church and then everything went home. So that was how like that one went. So basically the thing is, Aisha came to Nigeria without the plan of how I'm going to go back to the US. The airport was still shut down. So now wedding is over. I'm with my husband, Abi. The next question.
So that your mind is calm now, Abi.
My mind is calm. People now started asking me another random question. How are you going to go back to the US? School is about to resume again in August. I was like, please, people should wait. Let me first enjoy this one. My father, and I know my dad had every right to ask me that question because he sent me to school. It's not to come here and be with a man, really. So my dad would call me, how are you going to go back to the US? I know you're done with all this now, so how are you going back? Airport is still closed. I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. But somehow, we found a way and I was able to like find an evacuation flight back that was after approved.
You and these evacuation people,
It was evacuation. I use evacuation to come, I use evacuation to go back. So somebody told me that Air France was doing an evacuation flight. So I got news about that. So I went to Air France. They told me yes, and they were like, it's for American citizens, PR, and for students. They approved students to be on the flight. So I was like, oh, nice. That ticket was expensive. I think I got a one-way ticket for 700K or more or something. I can't remember. It was almost $1 million for that ticket. But eventually I got on it, came back to the United States, and of course, started living my life again. So yes, so that's how we're able to plan our wedding and all. I mean, there are more details, but just because of time, I have to like be rushing the story and all.
I just don't want the story to end. Is this where it ended?
Well, basically, but we thank God everything went well. Probably, hopefully, we'll show you pictures.
Yeah. Picture. No, you guys. I'll show you pictures.
They went very well. More than expected.
I'll show you pictures, and I'll also include like little clips if you have, because they have to see.
Sure.
Not this one you are seeing now. You're going to see that wedding.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. So I know that. So was it the same way you were able to like travel to other? Because I know you traveled like almost 10 times. Like, was it through evacuation flights as well, or at some point things became normal and then you just started traveling normally?
So shortly after I came back to the US, the Nigeria airport was open. Like, what the thing is, what people never knew that the United States airport or borders or whatever was never closed. So you can leave.
Oh.
Also, yeah, you can leave and you can come back, but it depending on your own country.
Oh.
You understand what I mean? The borders here was never shut down. It was open, but it wasn't open to certain countries. I think the UK, China, and some other places. So you can leave, you can come back, but it's now your own country. When you get into your country, will you be able to come out?
Yeah.
You understand? That was it. But I think eventually their country, like Nigeria, the Nigerian border was open. They started flying again, and so it was easy for me to now continue traveling. And you know how I said me and my husband every 3-4 months we must see each other. So, and we did have a honeymoon after the wedding.
Yeah.
So the border was open. In October, we planned a trip to Maldives.
Mm-hmm.
We planned a trip to Maldives, went to chill out for I think it will be almost 10 days or so, and I came back. And in Christmas last year again, I went back to Nigeria again, spent some time with him. So these are the challenges you will face if you are doing a long distance.
Exactly. So yeah, let's talk about the challenges. Yeah.
These are challenges you're going to face. There are many things. So if you don't also, I know people like coming here, I met people too that were also dating people outside the country. Everybody has what works for them, really. We just had our own way of doing things. Like I said, we travel all the time. We want to see each other all the time. We make sure that within 3-4 months, we've seen each other at least once. We make sure that calls stay, consistent, doesn't go down. We are always talking on the phone, video calls, anything that helps to just keep you. So other people had their own things. And at the same time, I watched some of my friends' relationships hit the rock. Some died in natural deaths, and I've seen many that are still. I know someone who hasn't seen her man since last year, January, and they are still strong. So it's not about seeing every 3-4 months too. It depends on what works for you, or it just depends on what. So these are challenges you're going to face. So at the end of the day, it depends on you and that person. What do you want? What does that person want? If you're willing to make it work, then you're willing to make it work. Like during COVID, when we're not even sure when we'll ever see each other again, whenever I'm depressed or down, or I'm sounding very somehow, he'll just be telling me, babe, even if we don't see for 1 year, I got you. So those kind of things used to always make me happy, do you get? And then him too, sometimes I hear it in his voice when he's bored.
Let's end this gist. Yeah, I've broken my heart.
When he's bored and something, I mean, so I just have to tell him the same thing, that, see, don't worry, I got you too. Like, you're fine. It doesn't. These are trying times. There are many weddings that did not happen in that COVID period. Like, I know a lot of people. Like my when I came down to Nigeria for my wedding, many of my vendors were so impressed. They were like, that means you really wanted this wedding to happen. Because my vendors were telling me how, especially my decorator, the person that was supposed to do the decoration for me, she was like, I know 2 people that say they are not getting married again. Like, not that they are postponing the wedding.
It's over.
They are done. Like, COVID made them even cancel their wedding. And that for you to come in an evacuation flight to do this wedding, that means, sister girl, you really wanted it to happen. So I was like, yeah. So basically, just spend on what you really want, and both of you.
Oh God. Please continue. Say something. This story should not end. Continue. Just look for something and tell me. My heart is really.
So we see that's how love works sometimes. Oh my goodness.
So sweet. Like, is it really over? Like, the story, is it really, really over?
It's over. I want us to stay here till next week. Talking about romance and love.
Oh my God. That was so
story.
I mean, like, it's really, and then there's a lot to learn, like how you people were able to make things work, not just, during the pandemic, but in long distance relationship, knowing that the relationship wasn't really like, solidified or defined before you left America. So it's really very inspiring and encouraging, and I believe that anybody that's watching this right now can say for a fact that they've learned something. And you also mentioned that what is key is knowing what works for both of you, because for your relationship, you decided to be seen every 3-4 months, but that might not necessarily work out for somebody else. So, and I like the fact, the way you started off the discussion, you were like, see, I'm not going to be here to be advocating for long distance relationship or anything. Like, you were real. You told us how it started. You didn't even hide. To be honest, I never expected that you were going to be this way. I was thinking you're going to hold a lot of things back, you know. That's what I was expecting. And I was like, in my mind, I mean, I understand. But when you start, it was like, it was just flowing. Like, you know, telling me, we don't even know. We were just talking. You know, I was not even serious with himself. Oh, God. It was just like, so even right now, I'm still waiting for, like, is there part 3? Is there part 3? Because it's so beautiful. Like, I really enjoyed the story. And I know that as an international student here, because I really want to see how we can take this back to your life as an international student here. What have you learned so far being an international student who just recently graduated? Were there things you learned during your journey? I know it's still like a journey to you here, even though you've graduated, but during that phase, did you learn anything? What was the good, the bad, and the ugly? And how can you use that, you know, story to motivate or inspire other aspiring international students?
So, like I said, everybody's experiences will always differ. But one thing I'll tell you is that as an international student, you will learn so many things. You will face so many challenges, and at the end of the day, it will turn into lessons and experiences that will help you. It will shape some other things that you're going to do in the future. So besides that you are coming as an international student to a different country. That I don't think you can trade that experience for any other thing, really, because you're going to learn about a different culture. You're going to learn different things going on in the different environments. And so whatever you learn here, nobody can ever take that away from you. Really.
What are the lessons that you've learned as an international student in the US?
Lessons that I've learned.
You know, when we're coming, we have this idea like maybe when you come, you see money in trees and things like that, you know, but when you come here, it might not necessarily be that. And then when you come to, you still think maybe, everybody is rich in the US. But when you
right.
Then when you're coming, people will say, it's pretty easy to graduate. Like you can, or when in Nigeria, you can resume 1 month to exam, but you are coming to the US, you have to resume first.
It has to be different. Right.
Kind of like.
Well, basically, what I can say that I have learned is that it's not always as it seems. Really, it's not always as it seems. For example, you know how you leave Nigeria and you come here and you're like, you know that when you get here, the grass is always greener. You get this job. By the time once you graduate, you will land this job. It's not always that easy. You graduate, you spend months looking for a job. Like I said, you will always be classified as I call it fourth-class citizen because in fact, you're not even a citizen in the first place. So things will oftentimes not go the way you have planned them. So you have to put in more effort. You have to put in extra work to get to where you want to be. You graduate from school, you think that you just apply for a few jobs and you get a job immediately, or you think that when you land that job, it will be one big job. No, you will probably see yourself starting from grassroots, starting from one very small job that pays peanuts. But before you know what's happening, depending on how much you can prove yourself at work, you get other connections, your network, you meet people, and before you know it, you're climbing. So that's how it always works. That's how most times it works. Some people are lucky. Their first trial, they land one very big job, and that's it for them. But it's not always as the same. So don't come here with the mindset of once you come here, everything is going to play out like this for you. You know how we always think that Nigeria, America is the gold. Like once you come here, you don't hammer.
Yeah.
You will really, really suffer. For us that come in as students, that come in through school, we still have small, our benefits are still small, we have small benefits somehow. But if you come in through some other routes, maybe you come in, you marry someone and you just come in straight up, it may not really just work out for you like that because you don't even have education here. You see that most people have to still take certifications. Here, that you went to school is not enough. You take certifications, you take so many things, so many licensing exams before you can be able to land that your dream job. So yes, it's not always as it seems. Don't come with too much expectations. Just come and live life and take life as it goes. That's just it.
Okay. See, to be honest, when next are we expecting you on this channel? Because girl, you killed it. You killed it. And how can people connect with you?
How can what?
How can people connect with you?
Okay. About connecting with me.
First of all, you need to sound it that you are married, because we didn't even say it at the beginning.
That's no type of connection. You are connectioning with me. Okay. So basically, you can reach me anywhere. LinkedIn, Instagram. I think, those two platforms are like places where I really talk to people. So I've had few people, reach out to me on LinkedIn that they want to know about something that I did. They look at my job description and they want to know how I did this, that. So yes, you can reach me on LinkedIn. You can reach me on Instagram. I can leave my my handles.
Yeah,
somewhere.
leave them here. Just tell.
Is it here?
Anywhere.
So just reach me basically if you feel like you want to.
Oh my God. Thank you so much, Ugo. I really enjoyed this. I didn't expect this. Thank you so much.
All right, girl. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate, and I definitely would love to be back here again.
Yeah, we can't wait to have you again.